Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Life Coach University in the world of pay it forward talks and conferences and courses. Uh, I am very happy to have you here with me today. And if you are inspired by this, if you get value from it and you want to pay it back to the world with an act of kindness, then that is definitely encouraged here. And if you want to share your story of how you did that with us at Life Coach University, you can send us an email to hello@lifecoachuniversity.com. My name is Chris Weals, and I am a relationship coach. I work primarily with men on helping them take the lead in creating the loving, joyful, amazing relationship that they hope that they would be in, and maybe they aren't quite there currently. I help them get back to that. So today is day 6 of relationship recovery. Thank you so much for being here with me. Yesterday, I talked a lot about how you can view every moment, every event, every situation as a gift and an opportunity. And I talked about the 3-gift framework for how you could do that. And that's the gift of knowledge, the gift of power, the gift of inspiration, and also the 5 powers that we all have that we can use to create the experiences and the results that we want, regardless of the situation that we're in. And those 5 powers that we all have are empathy or compassion, exploration or curiosity, innovation or creativity, navigation or values, purpose, and vision, and then activation or courageous action. Before I move on, I forgot to mention that if you have any questions for me at any point, please type those into the Q&A section. There's a button next to the raise hand button. So click on the Q&A and type in your question, and I will get to answering those towards the end of this session. So thank you, and my apologies for forgetting that early. All right, so today, I mentioned with navigation, that's also like your values, your purpose, and your vision. That's what I want to focus on today is like your awareness around that for yourself, in terms of who or what you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have in your life. So like these are the things that matter most to you, right? What are your values? What's your purpose for doing what you're doing and having what you're having? And then what's the vision that you have for your life? How do you want your relationship to be? Where do you want to live? What kind of job do you want to have? Like all of that. Do you have intentions set? Are you aware of what you actually want? Or are you just kind of cruising through life, floating around and letting life happen to you? If you are, no judgment here. I have definitely been there before. And that's back in my days of feeling like, hey, I'm a victim and I'm an avoider. I was avoiding planning and I just felt victimized by life. And I learned that I get to actually create the life that I want, but it takes uh, doing some work and knowing what I want and actually spending time thinking about that and planning for it, and then showing up and doing the work to make it happen. And I really owe a lot of that to my girlfriend, who asked me a very simple question: Chris, what do you want your life to look like? So many years ago, over a decade ago. And at the time, I had no idea. But since then, I have really created such amazing experiences in life, and I absolutely love the life that I'm living now. So when it comes to what you're being, doing, and having, I really believe that most people get the order of those things wrong, and also the order of importance of those wrong. I certainly did in the past. I used to think, I'll be so happy and grateful when I have that high level management position that I want, the 6-figure salary, and the house and all of that. Like once I have those things that I think I want, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be grateful, right? Or I'll listen to my partner when she just starts listening to me. For if she would listen to me, then I'd be happy to listen to her. But she just won't listen to me. Or I'll be happy in my relationship when she starts treating me better. Then I'll be a better partner. I'll show up more for her if she shows up more for me first. I think a lot of us have that kind of mentality. That's kind of where we're at in our thinking. And I'm here to challenge you, to encourage you to turn the order of that around. Because my life got so much better. My relationship got so much better when I realized that who and how I'm being and what I'm doing, my behavior, all of that, like, I need to work on that stuff first. I need to be generous, and I need to be grateful, and I need to be more joyful and peaceful and happy and loving and all of these things first. And that's how I create the results that I want. That's how I create the experiences that I want. It's by and this goes back to what I talked about a few days ago, last week. This is how thoughts become things, and that is, our beliefs really generate our feelings, and the words that we speak and the actions that we take or don't take, and ultimately all of that is what leads to the experiences and the results that we have in our lives. And so who do you want to be? Who and what do you, and how do you want to be? What do you want to do? Or how do you want to behave? Right? Getting them, like, regardless of what other people are doing or whatever the situation is, who are you? What matters to you? How do you want to show up? Right? And then what do you want to have in your life? These are things that first require awareness, and that's why I'm bringing this up under the section of self-awareness, which today we're in our final day of that. And I think it's really important to get clear on these things, like who we want to be, what we want to do, what we want to have, and then these are our intentions, our values, and our purpose, right? So what you can do is just do some extra. I don't have a very specific exercise for you right now, but I think having a pen and paper in hand really helps with this. And what I am recommending is just asking yourself these questions. Spend some time for a few days, every day for a few days, maybe 30 minutes at a time, and ask yourself, what actually matters to me? What are my values? What do I care about? Now, you can make a long list of things. And a lot of us, I believe, have values that aren't really ours. They come from our upbringing. There are our parents' values, there are our siblings' values, our friends, our religious leaders, or our teachers, our politicians. And we just adopt these values without really thinking about it. And we think we're supposed to have these values, but the truth is there's something inside of us that, that these values don't really resonate. These aren't our truths. And so there's conflict within us, and then we have some struggles. So I want you to do this exercise thinking about what actually matters to you. And you can base it on past experiences that you've had. So think back throughout your entire life. What are some experiences that stand out, both positive and negative, and what values can you pull from that? Get why do those experiences stand out so much? Why are they such strong experiences for you? I bet it's because there's a value lesson in there for you. So you can think back, do this throughout your entire life up to this point, and use that to figure out, well, what actually does matter to me? and then make a really long list. Try to get 30 to 50 things down on paper, and then I think it's helpful to have a handful of maybe like five or six values that are your core values that you have written down and that you go back to, and because all of this just helps you make decisions for yourself and live the life that you actually want to live and be the person you want to be. And so, once you have your long list, then start to categorize those different values, like put them in groups until you have, like I said, 5 or 6 different groups of values that are related to each other, and then just like use one of those values from each group to represent that whole group. And then you have your list of 5 or 6 core values. And once you know that, then you can really start tapping into, okay, well, what's my purpose for being, right? I really believe that we're here to experience life and love. And so that leaves it wide open, really. And I think that we have free choice, free will to create the life that we desire and have the purpose that we choose to have. I don't think purpose is something that we have to discover, or that it's some predetermined thing for us. I really believe that one of the greatest gifts, in addition to relationships, is freedom of choice. And so, and creation. We get to create our experience, and that's what we're doing all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. We're creating our experience. So I say, hey, if that's how this all works, then why not create it with intention? And this is part of that, knowing what your values are, what your purpose is. So how do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to serve others? That's so much a part of being a joyful, peaceful, fulfilled human being, is how we're serving the world. What kind of value are we creating for others? And so that's your purpose, I think. And it doesn't really matter what your career is, your vocation. Your purpose is more about your state of being, I think. Like, who am I? How am I showing up? How am I doing what I'm doing, right? And that speaks to your intentions, right? And so in your, this is a course on, or a talk on relationships. And so you can relate all of this to your personal relationship or relationships that you have with family, friends, coworkers, community, and all that. But especially your romantic relationship, so with your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, this is like, think about what your intentions are for your relationship. Like, are you somebody who is defensive and angry and frustrated? Is that who you want to be? Or do you want to be somebody who's patient and generous and forgiving and kind and all these other things? You get to decide, and you are deciding every day. And again, it's whether you know it or not, you are deciding. So I say, the more we can decide from a place of love and consciousness, the better the results we're going to get, the higher the quality of our experiences are going to be. Our relationships are going to be healthier and happier when we're making conscious choices about our intentions and our values and our purpose. And then ultimately your vision, this is the what, what do you want? And that's what do you actually want your life to look like in all these there's so many different areas of life. You have your health and your growth and your relationships and your career and finances and where you live and your hobbies and all of that. What do you want all of that to look like, right? So start working on creating a vision for yourself and for what you want your relationship to be like. What is your relationship about? Are you coming into the relationship to get something out of it? Or are you already a whole person? Like, do you need somebody to complete you? Like, the Jerry Maguire movie, You Complete Me, like, well, yeah, that sounds really romantic and sweet, but if you're coming into a relationship thinking that you need another person to complete you, then I think you have a lot of work to do on yourself, because you're a whole complete person. And yes, relationships are incredibly important and they're valuable and they're our greatest gift and all of that. But if you're coming in looking for somebody to complete you, then that opens you up to codependency and relying on them and for your own well-being and expecting them to deliver that. And then your relationship isn't so much about love and growth together as it is about dependency and trading, this service for that service. And it puts all kinds of conditions on our love for each other. And I don't think that makes for a very healthy and joyful relationship. So I think if you instead know that you are whole and you are complete and you are pure love, and you love yourself, and you're a healthy, joyful, peaceful person coming into it. And of course, not perfectly, because who has that all nailed down and perfect all the time, right? I certainly don't. But of course, I'm working toward that. That's my goal, is to get to that level of like, I always am showing up that way. But I'm also patient with myself and forgiving and understanding that it's always about growth and progress, not about perfection in life. And so I say come into the relationship, or if you're already in the relationship, it's not too late. You can do this now. Start writing this stuff down. Spend some time brainstorming. You could do it with your partner or by yourself, and then maybe share it with your partner if you want, or just use it as a guiding light, as a navigation system for yourself. But think about who you are, who you want to be, how you want your interactions to go with your significant other, what you want to do together with them. Are you planning for a future? Do you want to have kids? Do you want to travel? Do you want to live in a certain area? Do you want to own a big house, or do you want to just rent, or do you want to live in an RV? Whatever, like, get really clear on what you actually want, right? And what really matters to you. And then you have a framework, you have a blueprint, and this helps you make decisions on a daily basis, because you can check in. Somebody asked, like, how do we know when we're coming from love versus fear? And this is one of those ways you think about it. You intentionally plan out, well, what does love look like, right? What does that mean to me? And when you do this kind of work, then you know what love is you've created that vision. You've created your purpose, you've created your intentions, and you know your values. And so you can act from there. And that's what we're going to be getting into. So over the next 5 days, I'm going to be focused on self-management. This has been self-awareness, and then the next phase is self-management. And so I'm going to be getting into more of the details on how we realize these things. First, you have to have the awareness of it, right? Of how creation works. And that's that whole, my beliefs drive my feelings, drive my actions and my words, and those things create the results and the experiences that I have in my life, right? So that's the awareness piece. And then also, what do I want to be, do, and have? How can I view things as a gift and an opportunity? All of that, everything I've been talking about has been about awareness. And then I'm going to be starting tomorrow, I'm going into, now, how do we do what we need to do on a daily basis to realize these things, like to actually start creating the life and the relationship that we desire, and not just have things happen to us and think that, life is out of our control, and that everything, we're the victim, and, I feel the way I do because of how my spouse is, and I react because of what they do, and I'll just take what I can get. No, we're going to get into managing our ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, so we can start actually creating the dream life for ourselves. All right, so that's what I had for you all as far as my prepared content. Now it looks like I have a couple of questions, so I'm going to dive into that. All right, first question. When I got married, all I wanted was to be a great partner. I probably did too much for them because I started to feel like my partner was taking advantage of me. I stopped doing so much. I don't see how I can go back to being like that anymore. Okay, well, I don't really see a question, but I'll speak to that, because if you're giving based on what you think you'll get in return, you're missing the point. I think I believe that giving is its own gift, and if you see it that way, if you choose to view giving as a gift in of itself, a gift back to you, just the act of giving itself, then I believe like that starts to become very fulfilling and rewarding and energizing, just the giving. Now, of course, if that doesn't mean you need to stay with somebody who doesn't also give. I think we get into relationships and we think, well, we just have to stay no matter what, but that doesn't make for a successful relationship in my mind. I say, yeah, like if it's somebody you love and you have similar values and you want to make it work with this person, awesome, then do everything you can. But sometimes it's just not the healthiest relation or the healthiest person for you to have a relationship with. It's not the best thing for you to do for your life, or even if you have kids, maybe. And so I'm not saying just be a martyr and stay with somebody because you made that commitment, even though it's an awful experience and maybe the wrong choice for you. No, but if you're in a relationship with somebody and you choose to be there, you love them, then the best thing you could do for that relationship, and even for your own well-being, your own sense of joy and peace and purpose, is to give without expectation of return. Give from a place of love and generosity and kindness. And like I said, without that expectation of return, and just kind of keep doing that and see how that plays out for you. Because it's been my experience that when I am giving just for the sake of giving, when I'm actually living that way, so much more comes back to me. It's just the way the universe is designed and the way it works. And so I'm so grateful that I have discovered that philosophy and that I've put it into play, because just the act of giving fills me up now, and it didn't used to. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Give for the sake of giving, because for me, that's the path to enlightenment. All right. I experienced that too. My partner keeps track of what I do. My partner keeps track of what I do for them. For example, I will only get a massage if I give one first. Sure, and I get that, right? And so maybe you need to have a tough conversation with your partner. I really believe that a lot of times we avoid speaking our truth because we don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation. We don't want to hurt their feelings. Maybe we don't know how to deliver that kind of truth without being overly harsh. And so I think really what we need to do is work on being candid, but also kind, and have these conversations and tell them that it hurts your feelings or whatever it is, that's going on with you when they're behaving that way. But I really believe that if you're giving with expectation of getting in return, then you're missing out on all of the gifts and the benefits that come from giving. Giving should be on its own. Like, and you get just from the act of giving, but also, you know, if you're with a selfish person or somebody who's been behaving selfishly, talk to them, share this kind of stuff with them, let them know what giving is all about and all of that. And maybe you can, I know a couple, I've mentioned this before, but I'll do it again because I think it fits really well here. There's a married couple who I'm friends with, and they told me that they actually compete with each other to see who can do more for the other one, you know, right? And so I just, like, I was blown away by that when they told me, and they seem to have a really loving, healthy, happy relationship. And I I believe that that way of being with each other is everything, you know, like that's what contributes to their health and happiness. It's because, you know, instead of like, hey, you know, I'm doing more for you than you're doing for me, and you know, I'm not cool with that. It's like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to be doing more for you than you're doing for me. That's how I get more deposits into the value bank in the relationship, and all of that. And it just feels good. Like I'm in this to give. I'm in this to help you grow and have an awesome life experience. And through that, I get to have the same. All right, next one. I had a vision for a large family, but I married a person who later shared that he didn't want lots of children. I'm, I'm sad and angry. I've had to drop my vision because it's too late for me to start all over. Well, I get that, and I'm sorry. You know, I have friends who have been like in very similar situations, and you know, you can't undo the past. You can only start with where you're at now and decide for you what you want. Create your vision, your vision for your life from this point moving forward, and decide what your values are, what your purpose is, your vision, your intentions. Um, Decide what your boundaries are, and I'm going to definitely touch on boundaries at some point. But remember, your boundaries are for you to decide. They are for you. And of course, we can communicate our boundaries and let other people know what they are, and you know how we're going to handle things when our boundaries are crossed. But we can't rely on anyone else to honor our boundaries. Our boundaries are ours. We have to honor them, and we have to decide what's best for us. And so if somebody crosses the boundary, we can let them know that they have, and but it's up to you to actually honor your boundaries and do what you need to do in response to your boundaries being crossed. I know what you're saying isn't necessarily a boundaries thing, but I think it's related. And so again, really, so from this point forward, what do you want to be, do, and have? What do you want your life to look like? Who are you? You have to make that decision about yourself. And then once you are really firm in that, once you know, then you can move forward. You can make, it helps make decisions about your life easier. You know, I hope that's helpful. All right, what if my vision keeps changing? I'm always in restart mode. Well, that's okay. You know, like I would be patient with yourself and just allow what is to be, and then keep working on it, right? So if your vision keeps changing and you want a solid vision, then right now your purpose is to uh, figure that out, right? Like so, and that's okay. That's an awesome purpose to have. That's an awesome mission to have, is to get really clear on what you want your vision to be, and really having self compassion and empathy and patience, generosity, and all of that. Like that's so important to really take care of yourself, love yourself unconditionally, know that your value doesn't come from you having a really clear, steady vision for yourself. Your value is just from you being alive, being a human being. That's your inherent value. That's your intrinsic value. So, and that can't be taken. You know, you are valuable as you are. You are worthy of unconditional love. You are deserving of unconditional love right now, as you are, changing vision and all. And so just give yourself that love no matter what is going on in your life. And then from there, it's so much easier from that space. It's easier to create that vision because it's not coming from that saboteur mode, that fear-based way of thinking and feeling. It's coming from a place of inner peace and joy and love as you are. And then I think it'll be a lot easier to actually get clear on that vision. Okay, how can I ask my 36-year-old son why not bother to even ask how I am since he got married without upset him? Okay, let me see. Let me see if I can understand that. How can I'm so sorry. I don't think I understand the question about your 36-year-old son, but I will speak to just like when it comes to like other people, they have their own values, they have their own vision for life, and we have no, especially for adults, even if it's your son, he's 36, he's an adult, we cannot control what other people think, what they feel, what they say, what they do, and all we could do is control our own response. We can manage and all of that, like our response to that. And a lot of that has to do with what I was talking about today, deciding and committing to like who am I? What are my values? What are my intentions? What kind of experiences do I want to have in relationship to my son or anyone else? All of this, like what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? You have to be clear about that for yourself, and then know that everyone else has their own, their own desires, their own values, their own intentions, their own purpose and vision. And so all we can do is support that, accept it, bless it, and love them unconditionally, even if what they want is different than what we want, because again, we don't have power over them. We don't have control over them. All we have is um, our own responsibility and accountability, um, and our own choices. All right, I got offered my dream job. Awesome, congrats. It requires me to travel every month to Europe for once a week. My wife is supportive, but am I a bad partner for going for the job, which means that I will be absent from my wife and family? No. I mean, that's a very short answer to that, but no, that doesn't mean you're a bad partner. If that's something that everyone is supportive of and it's what you want, then how can that make you a bad partner? I don't, I just, there's no like good or bad, wrong or right here. It's just, does this work for what I want to be, do, and have? Is this helping me have that, right? And then also working with your wife in the relationship and having these open and honest conversations, knowing what matters to her also, and then you just make that decision based on that. But no, it definitely doesn't make you a bad partner. So it seems like you and your wife were cool with it. So just accept it and embrace it, love it, because it sounds like it's actually something that's pretty sweet. All right, so my parents decided that I was going to be a doctor. They told me this from a young girl. Now I'm a doctor, but I want a career change. The guilt, the shame, and fear that they will disown me. Well, this goes back to knowing that like they can't control you. They can't make you do anything. They can strongly influence you. They could tell you what they want for you. They can try to control you, but this is your life. And if it matters more to you to do something that makes your parents happy, then do that thing with all your heart. Do it with all your love. So embrace that, accept it, love it, and love your parents, and just let that be the way. But if this is something that you don't want, and you're only doing it out of fear of rejection from your parents, then I think maybe you need to look into that, explore that a little bit, and work through it, and maybe have that heart-to-heart conversation with your parents about your truth, and that you want to do something else, but you're afraid to because of how they'll feel about you, or what they'll think, or what they'll say, or what they'll do. But again, this is your life, and in doing something out of love for another, so like being a doctor because your parents want you to. Again, if that's what you want, then love it, and take a lot of joy in doing that. But if you're not, if you don't love it, if that's not what you want, then you might have to have a difficult conversation, and you might have to make some difficult choices. All right, I have time for this one last question, and I better wrap it up. I've definitely gone a little bit long here. My girlfriend drinks more and more. I just don't know anymore if I want this. When I bring it up, she cries and says she will drink less. Right? Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation to be in, and sometimes we are in these situations with a partner who maybe doesn't share the same values, or just is having a hard time with something. So you have to decide again. This comes down to deciding what your values are, what your intentions are, what your purpose is in the relationship, and all of that. And so, is this? Do you want to stay with her, or do you not? And if you want to stay with her, and there's no wrong answer to that, I believe. If your choice is that this is something that you just don't want in your life, it's okay to end the relationship and move on. Just do it lovingly, do it kindly, do it compassionately. But if you want to stay with her, then do that lovingly, kindly, and compassionately, patiently as well. So who do you want to be in relation to having a girlfriend that drinks? Do you want to stay with her, show up, and help her through that, without telling her, without trying to control her and force her to do one thing or another, but just by showing up and being love, be somebody who listens and creates a safe space for her to be open and honest about how she feels. And so maybe this is something that you can actually help her through. But again, you have to decide, and there's no wrong choice, because this is your life, and you have to do what's best for you. Because if you don't, then you're not doing what's best for anyone else. That's just the way I view it anyway. So, some of these are really tough spots to be in. I get that, and I definitely can empathize with you. I've been in similar situations for some of these, and I know close friends and family members who have been in some of these other situations. And so, a lot of these are really tough, challenging positions to be in, but you definitely have what it takes to work through these things. And a lot of it just has to do with awareness of what you actually want, of loving yourself first and foremost, and like knowing that like self-love is not selfish. It's not a negative thing. We have to be able to love ourselves and be a healthy, whole human being in order to show up for the people we love in our lives. So you have to look out for yourself. Absolutely. So I hope that you're all able to do that. I hope that you got a lot out of this session today. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with me, your situations, for asking these questions. I truly hope that my responses were helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to email or email hello@lifecoachuniversity.com or reach out through the website. You can find me personally on LinkedIn under Chris Weals. It's ChrisWeals. You can connect with me, message me directly. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, thank you so much for joining me today at Life Coach University and the wonderful world of Pay It Forward. And please remember to check out the website, lifecoachuniversity.com, for all of our upcoming PIF Talks and conferences. And we have our first course kicking off with Heather Flake on relationships starting June 20th through the 24th. Again, my name is Chris Weals. I'm a relationship coach for men. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all again tomorrow. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.